Hey y'all. All right, so I decided that it would be easier actually to teach this through a video, and that way you can pause and you can draw pictures and you can do what you need to do as you're working through this at your own speed. Now, that being said, you have no business whatsoever doing this work today, right now, if you have not done the work for Thursday. The work for Thursday is 100% a prerequisite for this. So if you have not done that, you need to stop this right now. You need to go back to Thursday and you need to do that work, including the quizzes, because this is an extension of that work. That means this is harder than that work. So if you are not paying attention, if you don't know how to do that, this is going to be sort of a catastrophe. All right, so here we go. So if you've done yesterday's work, you understand what's going on and how to find area, how to find perimeter, how to find surface area, how to find volume, then I'm glad you're here, and here we go. So first question here is saying, what is the perimeter of a square with a side length of 6, and then it wants to know the area. All right, this is an easy question. This is just like yesterday because they give us the side length. You're going to find that during these questions, we're always trying to go back to the side length. So in this one, they give us the side length, we're good to go. So they give us a side length of 6. They tell us it is a square. I am going to draw my figure every single time because when I look at it visually, I'm not going to make silly mistakes. So if I want the perimeter, I know that I'm adding up my side lengths. So that's 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 6 times 4. And regardless, you get that your perimeter there is 24 feet. Now, if you want to find the area, you multiply the length by the width. Well, anytime we're dealing with a square, the length and the width are going to be the same. So really, you can take whatever the side length is and you can square it, because length times width would be 6 times 6. The side length squared would be 6 squared. Well, 6 squared and 6 times 6 are the exact same thing. So the area here is 36 feet squared. So now most of these questions that we're going to encounter are going to ask us to work backwards. So going into number 2 here, it says, what is the perimeter of a square with an area of 81 inches squared? Anytime I see that squared there, I need to be thinking of area. So I know something is going to be involved with the square root. Now, if it's surface area, I have to divide before I take the square root. But if it's just normal area, then all I have to do is take the square root. Well, this looks like normal area, but I'm going to set this up in an image here. So it's a square with an area of 81 inches squared. So that's 81 inches squared, and it wants to know the perimeter. So in order to know the perimeter, I need to know the side length. So if the area is 81 inches squared and I need to know the side length, I need to know what is the square root of 81. Well, the square root of 81 is 9. That means that this is a 9 by 9 square. Well, all 4 of my side lengths are 9. This is why it's important to draw a picture. If you're not thinking visually, you're going to try to take 81, you might try to divide it by 2. Well, if you have 40.5 on each side, I'm pretty sure you know that 40.5 times 40.5 is not 81. 9 times 9 is 81. So to put the picture here, the square root has nothing to do with dividing by 2. So the square root of 81 is equal to 9. That means my side lengths are all 9. If I want the perimeter, that's 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9. That's 9 times 4. So the perimeter here is 36 inches. It wants to know the distance around the square that has the area of 81. This question appears every single year on the EOG, so just a good thing to know. You won't be taking that, but still, that's something that you should know as a person. All right, so we're going to move on to a question that's a little more complicated because we're going from a square to talking about a cube. So as always, I'm going to draw my figure. So to draw a cube, I'm going to draw a square. I'm going to draw another square. I'm going to connect here. And then I'm going to figure out what I know about this. All right, so I know that the volume is 216 millimeters cubed. Well, anytime I see a cubed here and I'm dealing with volume, I know that I need to take a cubed root. Well, it wants to know the area and the perimeter of a face of the cube. So this question is really asking me for the area of one of the squares that makes up the cube. So what I need to do now is I need to figure out what the side length is, because if I don't know the length and the width and the height, then I can't find the area here. So if I know that the volume is 216, well, that's inches cubed. So I'm going to take the cubed root of 216. Well, the cubed root of 216 is 6. So what that means here is I have a cube that has a length of 6, a width of 6, and a height of 6. Well, at this point, it wants to know the area and the perimeter of the face of the cube. Well, if I'm looking at the face of the cube here, I'm looking at what shape? Well, I'm looking at a square. Well, that square is a 6 by 6 by 6 by 6, so I've got sixes on all four sides. So it's asking me for the area and the perimeter of that square. Well, that square is a two-dimensional shape, so if I want to find the area of a square, I multiply the length by the width. So the area is 6 squared, 6 times 6, and I get 36 millimeters squared. Well, now it wants the perimeter of that square on the front. Well, there's four side lengths. They're all 6. And I know that 6 by 4 is going to give me 24 millimeters as the perimeter around that. So questions involving cubes, you need to be really careful, and you need to think about what it's asking you for. If it's asking you about the face of a cube, you know that a cube is made up of 6 faces and they're all squares. So if it's asking you about the face of a cube, it's asking you about a two-dimensional square. So it's really asking you kind of about one of these questions once you figure out what the side length is. All right, so moving on here to number 4. This one's a lot easier than the one before it. So this one is asking us for the side length of a cube when the volume is 512. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that cube here. And I don't know anything about that cube except for the volume is equal to 512 centimeters cubed. Well, that cubed here, when I'm looking for the volume, cubed tells you about the something happening 3 times. So my length by my width by my height is some number multiplied together 3 times. So I'm going to take the cubed root of 512 because it is to the 3rd power. And the cubed root of 512 gives me 8. So what I'm looking at right now is a cube where the side lengths are all 8. So now I look back at my question and all it wants to know is the side length. So this question, pretty simple. The side length is 8 centimeters. Now, I know these questions are going kind of quick, so when you go to take the Canvas quiz, which again is not very many questions, they're all modeled exactly like one of these. So what it might be good to do is have this video up while you're watching that. And if you get to one of the questions that you don't know or that's confusing, find the question that it's modeled off, go and watch the video and use that as you're solving. All right, so this one is telling us about the face of a cube. So it's telling me that the face of a cube has an area. Well, the face of a cube is a square. So this is telling me about a square of 25 meters squared. So I'm going to go and I'm going to draw this shape here. And the face of the cube has an area of 25. So again, each face is a square. So here I know that this square, this two-dimensional square, it's the exact same thing as saying this square right here, a flat square. That's what we're talking about because a face of a cube is a flat square. A cube is made of 6 flat squares. So right there, what I'm going to do is I know that the area of that piece is 25 meters squared. Well, square roots, or excuse me, the squared exponent here tells me about a square root. So I know the area of this is 25. Well, I get the area of this by multiplying the length by the width. So if I take the square root of 25, I get 5. So that means that I know that the length and the width of the square here are each 5. Well, I'm talking about a cube. So I know that if the length and the width or the height, and if I know that two of the side lengths of the cube are 5, I know that the third side length is as well. So it wants the volume of the cube, that's length times width times height. So in a cube, the length, the width, and the height are all the same. So 5 times 5 times 5 is the same as 5 to the third power. So the volume of this cube would be 125 meters cubed. So I hope this is making sense. Again, if a question, as you are approaching these questions, you have to draw the pictures. I'm trying to change colors here to show you what specific pieces I'm talking about, and I hope that that's helpful. But again, it is important as you're working through those that you're recognizing that those pieces there correspond to these words. So figure out how to draw an image that's going to help guide you through this. All right, next one tells me the volume of a cube is 27 cubic units. I want the area of one of the faces. I want to know its edge length and its surface area. All right, so it wants to know area of one of its faces, so area of a square, edge length, side length, and surface area. All right, so we know the volume is 27. So here I have a cube. And if I know that the volume is 27, it means that the length times the width times the height is 27. And I know in a cube, the length, the width, and the height are the same thing. So I have 27 units cubed. Well, that means that 3 of the same number came together to produce this. So I'm going to take the cubed root of 27, and that's going to tell me that the side length of this cube is 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my cube, and I know that I've got a 3 by 3 by 3 cube there. All right, so that takes care of what is its edge length. All right, what is the area of one of its faces? Well, I know that a cube is made up of 6 faces, and they're all squares. So one of the faces, that's a face right there. Well, that face is made up of 3 times 3. That's a square. So 3 times 3, that's the same as 3 squared. So that's equal to 9. And this should be units. And this is 9 units squared. So I know that the area now of the face here of this square is 9 units squared. Well, now what it wants, so that takes care of what is the area of one of its faces. All right, well, the next thing it wants to know is the surface area. Well, a cube is made up of 6 surfaces. Each one of the surfaces is one of these squares. So the surface area of the cube is 6 squares that have an area of 9. So it's a 9 here, 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 on the back, and on the bottom. So basically that's 6 nines. So 9, the area of one of them, times 6. There are 6 different faces there. That's going to give me 9 times 6 is 54 units squared, and that is going to be my surface area. So again, as long as you really break these questions down, they're not that complicated. But if you try to put it together without drawing a picture and without really thinking about what it's asking you, recognizing that you have 6 flat squares making up this cube, then it's going to be a lot more challenging. All right, we are almost done. We've got number 7, and it is giving us a cube that has a surface area of 294 inches squared. What is the area of the face? What is the edge length? What is its volume? All right, so surface area is a little bit more challenging. So we have a cube here, and the cube has a surface area of 294 inches squared. So we see that squared. Some of us might be tempted to try to take the square root, but that won't work unless that's just the area of one of the sides. It's telling us that the area of one of the sides, basically it's telling me that all 6 of the sides areas added together are equal to 294. So rather than thinking about it as this 294, I want to split the 294, which is made up of 6 faces. I want to split that up and I want to figure out what is the area of just one of the faces. So I'm going to take that total surface area of 294 and I'm going to divide it by 6. And that's going to give me the area of one face. So 294 divided by 6 tells me that one of the faces is going to be 49 inches squared. So I go to my cube here and I know that the area of this square, the area, the length times the width, that is going to multiply together to give me 49 inches squared. Well, now that we're just looking at this one square, I can use this square to give me the hint that I need to take the square root. Well, the square root of 49 there is 7. So that means that I have a side length there of 7 because the only way to get the area of 49 there is to multiply 7 by 7. So 7 times 7 is equal to 49, and that is going to give me the area of a face. So I'm good there. I have the area of a face. I also have the edge length. So the only other thing here I need is the volume. Well, I know that in a cube, all of my sides are the same, so I've also got 7 here. If I want to find the volume, I multiply the length by the width times the height. In this case, that's 7 times 7 times 7, which is 7 to the power of 3. So this is going to give me 343 inches cubed as the volume of this figure. So again, if you really break these down, not that complicated. When you encounter a question like this in the Canvas quiz, go back to minute 16:55 in the video and you will see exactly what you need. All right, last question for today before you go do your Canvas questions. It says a cube has an edge length of 99 millimeters. What is the area of the face? What is the cube's volume? Oh, this one's easy. It gives you the edge length to start out with. So let's draw our cube here. So we already know that the cube, you could have done this one yesterday. We already know that the cube has an edge length of 9. So each side length there is 9. So it just wants to know the area of the face. Well, the area of the face, that's like this square right here. So that is going to be your length times your width. That's 9 times 9. So you're going to have a face that has an area of 81 inches squared. And then the volume is going to be length times width times height. So that's going to be 9 times 9 times 9. And that's going to give you 9 to the third power, which is 729 millimeters cubed, which means these are not inches. These are also millimeters. But again, so pay attention to what it is asking for. These cubes are three-dimensional. They are made up of 6 squares each, and each face is a square. So again, that should be pretty, I hope that's very helpful. Again, you should now go into the Canvas quiz and work on those questions and get that submitted. And as you're doing that, if you go back and watch this video for that question, if you're stumped, it will help you as you work through it. This is one of those rare times where you really do have to help yourself a little bit. So go back, pull this up. I've done everything I can to make it easy for you, and now I know that you can do it. You guys did a phenomenal job with the solving square and cube root equations. The quizzes from Thursday looked great. So at this point, I know that you guys can tackle this. Monday, Tuesday, no brand new stuff. You're going to do a little bit of review. Again, like 15 questions a day, not so bad. Just helping you make sure that you have this information, that you're ready for Math 1. Math 1 is going to be extremely hard if we don't get through the rest of this work. So I'm trying to make it easy for you now so that it's even easier for you later. So again, just keep putting in that little bit of time each day that this takes. I know it takes some time, and I know that this is not your only class, but it'll be worth it in the end. You are still going to have a summer to just sit around and do what you do. So now is the time to work. All right. So I appreciate you guys. Keep working hard. I miss you. And again, this is it until Monday. So get this done, get the canvas done, make sure that you have done the things that were on that checklist that I emailed you and your parents on Monday, and then I'll send you a new checklist again on Monday. We'll continue working. Again, Monday, Tuesday will be a little bit of review of what we've learned this week. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be working on the Pythagorean theorem. All right. Bye, guys.